Hi everybody, this is another Flying Rookie video. This is another video of my DJI F450 Advanced Heavy Lift. Okay, and this video, the flight that I'm going to do is going to be a line of sight flight, and also it's going to be a flight test of the FPV equipment that I do have on this aircraft. And I put two batteries that they are larger than the batteries that I used in the past. On the first flight that I did with this, I flew with two 3300 4S batteries in parallel, and I went over 20 minutes with those batteries. So I'm wondering, and bad thing, I didn't have the FPV equipment installed. Now this time I do have the FPV equipment installed, so I want to test these two 4000 4S batteries in parallel. So because they are in parallel, now they are no longer 4,000, now they are 8,000. Okay, so with those two batteries plus the FPV equipment installed, I'm very curious about what kind of flying time I'm gonna get with this. Before I proceed to do the flight, to test the flight time, I'm gonna describe the equipment that I did install on this aircraft. Okay, so the camera that I'm using, one of the cameras that I'm using for FPV is the Horizon HD that you can see it down here. This is the version 3, and I put mounted with foam tape, so in that way it can absorb the vibration. And over here I put the LCD screen that controls the camera. The memory that I got that I'm using with this camera is a 32 gigabyte. Okay, the second camera that I got over here in the same gimbal is a night vision camera. It's not infrared, but it's like a low light camera. This is one of these micro cameras. They weigh like around 2 grams. It got 90 degrees lens, and they cost like $45. Now this is not the only camera that I got over here. I got another one in the back over here. Okay, so I'm gonna be able to look what's behind me and look what's in front of me. Okay, these 3 cameras that are over here, they are all 3 connected to this video switch over here that allows me to switch between cameras. So also the 2 cameras that I got in the front are able to look down as well as look forward, because I got this thing, these 2 front cameras mounted with this pan and tilt servo, small gimbal camera mount, like the ones that people use to fly FPV on airplanes. But I'm not using the pan and servo, I'm just using the tilt servo. And also I mount this camera with this plexiglass piece with foam tape, the same foam tape that you use to mount the gyros on RC helicopters. Also, this part over here, a friend of mine, he worked with a CNC machine. He made this part for me, so in that way I can stand this thing as forward possible, and that way I won't see the props and I won't see the landing gear on anything in one flight and recording the flight. And this part over here, I did mounted with rubber mounts, as you can see in the front. So you got 4 rubber mounts. So I did design this part, and I gave my friend the blueprints, and he cut them to my specifications, and that's why it looks, the way it looks. But this is kind of based on the design of crop bucket. Actually, originally I wanted to buy the crop bucket part, but it was on out of stock, and I couldn't wait for him to put them back on stock. So I just decided to design the part myself and have somebody make it for me, and that's what happened with this. Okay, I got an OSD connected to this, and it's the Horizon, it's another Horizon, it's the Cyclops OSD, and I mounted right under this upper plate over here, and you can see the OSD reset down here, the antenna and everything. And one thing that I did with the OSD, just like I did with this camera, is that I mounted with foam tape, because this OSD And the GPS, they don't like the vibration. When they get all that vibration, it don't work right. So that's something that I discovered with one of my quads, and I decided to mount all my OSDs on all my quads the same way I mounted here. Okay. This aircraft, since it's working on 4S and I use FOTSTEC video transmitters, the FOTSTEC video transmitters, they are not designed to work on 4S, so I have to use a battery step down to power the video transmitter, and also powers the camera switch and the two little cameras, because the Horizon HD version 3 camera is being powered by 5 volts, so it doesn't have the power, it doesn't get 12 volts. So all the FPV equipment is being powered by this battery power step down, so it brings the power from for 4S to 3S. So that way I can safely power all my 12 volts devices on my FPV equipment. Finally, the video transmitter that I'm using is a FOTSTEC 500 milliwatts video transmitter, and it's connected with a cloverleaf that I intentionally put it, pointed down. Some people argue that when you do this with these antennas, they don't do loose range or they don't work properly. I already did this with my DJI F450. I got a 400 milliwatts. I put the antenna like this, and it's completely, when the aircraft's in the air, the nice thing is this pretty much, almost perfectly on line of sight with the receiving end of the video signal. Instead of putting the antenna looking up, then if, let's say the aircraft is like this, the signal is going to be blocked by the aircraft itself. But in this way, it just barely, just a little bit blocked by the landing gear, but not as bad. So that's why I put it that way. Okay, so this is pretty much an introduction of the FPV equipment that I did on this aircraft. So I proceed to plug it in and see what kind of flying time I'm gonna get. Right now, this aircraft with these two batteries, right now this aircraft is ready to do FPV. So with these two batteries and with the FPV equipment, it weighs 2,383 grams. So that's a little bit over 5 pounds. It weighs just a little bit, like 200, a little bit over 200 grams less than my F450 that has a longer, larger landing gear, and it has a 2-axis gimbal camera mount. So let me just, actually I don't want to plug the aircraft over here. Let me just plug it down here. Because I want the aircraft to acquire the satellites over here, so I can do the return to home on this spot. Alright, so everything's powered. So I'm gonna test the gimbal camera mount. So I put on the gimbal camera mount with this switch over here. So it's a 3-position switch, so it can go to a little bit of an angle all the way down, and that's how it's working, you can see. And now it's looking straight, looking like around 35 degrees, and now it's looking like probably like around 80 degrees down, so I think work for me fine. I got a video DVR with me, so, and this one got his own built-in 5.8 gigahertz video receiver, and as you can see, getting the video signal on the camera. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch to the HD camera. Actually, this is the HD camera. This is the regular camera, the regular front camera, and this is the real camera. So right now it's looking at the net behind. Okay, so let me just start recording with this. Actually, I gotta wait until this thing acquired the satellites. I don't know if it did already, so let me just Let's put on recording. Yeah, it did acquire the satellites already. So I got to reset this thing, the OSD. Okay, should be reset. And I'm gonna make sure that I got GPS lock. Yeah, do have GPS lock. That's cool. Okay, so got satellites. I got GPS lock, so I'm ready to go. So let me just. Normally, when I take off, I never take off on GPS mode. I take off on attitude mode. Then when it's in the air, then I go to GPS mode. Okay, now let's put on GPS mode. Nice. Let me just straight up my GoPro. Send the aircraft forward a little bit. You know, at first I was a little bit concerned about the GPS working properly because some of these aircraft, they don't quite work fine. With the Horizon HD, supposedly the Horizon HD creates some kind of interference with some of the, you know, the GPS equipment. It happened with me with one of my quads. So I was concerned this thing is gonna work right or not. Well, apparently, you know, it's working right. You know, my GPS on my OSD and my GPS on my NASA, they just acquired the satellites right away. That's really cool. So let me just. Most of these flights are gonna be, you know, like hovering. I'm not gonna be going crazy. You know, doing. You know, I'm not that good. Like I mentioned many times, you know, I'm not that good of a line of sight pilot. But oh, freaking birds, man! Now I got the aircraft looking towards me right now, and it's a little bit. I'm getting a little bit of breeze. So now I wanna see how this thing looks like. On my it's looking down, and it's looking straight at me, and now it's looking forward. That's really cool. And it's looking at me, and then it's looking down. Now I'm gonna switch cameras. I'm gonna look to the other camera, and there's the HD camera. And now I'm gonna look to the rear view camera, and you can see part of the video transmitter in the back, and also you can see one of the rear props in the back. The thing that's the most important thing to me is making sure that I don't get any, you know, yellow effect. Because I know this aircraft, I balance the props, but I have to even balance the motors. I don't really know how to balance the motors properly. So, you know, I know some people that use zip ties, and some other people that use epoxy or tape. And they use also different methods to balance the prop. I mean, not the props, the motors. The props, that's not a problem with me. I've been balancing props almost since I started doing this hobby, and I know I'm pretty good doing it. Use a Dubril balancer for that, and I really mastered the art of balancing the props very well. I love, how precise this freaking GPS work. It's even worked better than some of my older aircraft. It's zero toilet bowl effect. This thing just working 100%, and that's good. Right now I got 4 minutes and 19 seconds. So we got there's a long way to go with this. I know when the batteries goes down, the battery's supposed to go down to, for the lipo alarm to start, beeping, the battery has to go down like around 13.6 volts. So that's 3.4 volts per cell. And that's when the lipo alarm is gonna start, beeping. And that's gonna mean that's the end of the flight. So I hope I can accomplish at least, between 18 to 22 minutes of flying time. I did already a flight with this using these batteries without the FPV equipment installed, and I managed to do like, I think it was like 25 minutes of flying time. So that was really good. Let's try to go down a little bit. Okay, that's why I want him to stay. So now I'm gonna try the rear view camera again. And that's the rear view camera, and it's looking at me. No, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. This is the rear view camera, and it's looking at me right now. That's so freaking cool. Have the capability of looking back behind you and see what's going on. That's awesome. Now this is the front view camera, and this is the regular. I got two low light night vision cameras on this aircraft. The one in the back and the one in the front. And then this one is the HD camera. This is the one from the Horizon HD. Okay. Now I'm gonna make this camera look down. So I'm going to bring the OSD down. I'm going to bring it even lower. And now I'm going to try to sway it up a little bit. These all the way up. That's really cool. I'm just going to go to the front of the aircraft. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Okay, right now the throttle is just a tiny bit above the center, and right now you can see the gimbal right there, and now it's down a little bit, and now it's all the way down. That's really cool. Getting a little bit of vibration. You see it right there, the two cameras. Looks down, and he looks even further down. It's really nice. This thing is really, really, really stable. Now you can see the little camera over here in the back looking towards me. That's really good. Okay, so let's just this thing got so much power. I just giving just a little bit of throttle. I think just went crazy giving, too much throttle. It works nice. Now what I want to do is I want to do a return to home test. So let me just bring it down a little bit. I'll send it away. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna flip the switch for return to home. And he's coming back. He just turned around too, so now he's looking towards me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cancel it. I'm not gonna let him land. Gotta walk this way. You know, before he lands, I'm gonna cancel him. I got now 10 minutes of flying time. He's coming down. I took off from that corner there, so that's where he's supposed to land. Just cancel it, and let me go back to GPS. I'm back in GPS again. That's cool. It works fine. Okay, the voltage I got right now is 14.9 volts. So I still got plenty of power on this. Yeah, I can go and spy on this guy over here. There's a guy from the DPW, and he's taking care of the garbage. I'm just gonna look and see what he's doing right now to the monitor. That's so cool. You can see the guy there. Yeah. We just pull this thing back in my pocket. Bring the aircraft down and back here. Well, like I mentioned before on the previous video that I make of this aircraft, this aircraft was inspired by some of the people from some of the channels on YouTube that they make, you know, aircraft. They got kind of similar purpose that this one got. But these other people, they call their own aircraft, you know, like rescue multicopters. This one, I'm gonna down the road and try to design some attachments so I can do different tasks with this. But this is not about rescuing, this is about flying time. And the purpose of building this aircraft was to get the maximum flying time possible that you can get with a multi-rotor. So that's why I picked, you know, a lightweight frame that's proven, that is bulletproof, like the F450 frame. And there's so many people that they do have, you know, like really bad crashes with this frame, and you know, and most of the times this frame survives. And that's what made this frame probably the most best-selling frame in the world right now. You know, when you go to YouTube, there's a lot of people flying DJI F450s because of that reason. It's easy to build. You got a built-in, you know, power distribution board, and the best part is that this frame is designed to, you know, take the weight. So that's, I mean, take the abuse, and that's something really cool about it. The best part also is that this frame, you know, there's a lot of tons and tons of, you know, upgrades. A lot of companies making aftermarket parts for it. That's really good about this frame. Okay, I'm about to go over 15 minutes of flying time. So, instead of turning this into a rescue aircraft, I decided to turn it into a, you know, pretty much a long range. Not that I want to do 2 kilometers like I did with one of my quads, but if I want to, you know, I can go far with it. And the nice thing is the batteries are going to give me the flight time that I need. You know, these 2 batteries I got over here, so that's good. I could have, you know, just one single large battery in there, but the thing is, this landing gear that I'm using is designed to carry 2 batteries, so, you know, I wouldn't have, you know, like a balanced aircraft if I was having just one single battery. And the nice thing is, you know, why if one of the batteries, the connectors fail, something like that, I can keep flying with the other one. So that makes, you know, the deal even sweeter when it comes to these aircraft. You know, so that's a big plus of carrying the 2 batteries. And I really like the landing gear. This landing gear, you know, it's not too big, it's not too small. You know, I saw a lot of people that they go on YouTube and they buy this huge, gigantic, you know, landing gears for the F450, and they use the stop motors. And all you do is just killing your flying time. And not only that, you know, those big landing gears that are meant to be used on like a hexacopter, you know, like the F450. So when you put a landing gear on that big on your F450, all you do is just killing, you know, the maneuverability of the aircraft. You know, it's a quadcopter. It's not meant to be, you know, something to carry, you know, that low, and it's not going to be as maneuverable as it should be because of that kind of landing gear. So in my case, you know, I did compensate for those shortcomings of this particular frame by not putting a landing gear that's not that big, and by putting big motors with the heavy lift conversion and large props. Because normally in this aircraft, the biggest motors you can carry is only, you know, like 2212, 2215s with 10-inch props. So on this one, I got, you know, this 4215s, 650 kV with 12-inch props. And if I want to go higher, I could put bigger props if I want to. I can put all the way up to 14-inch if I wanted to. But as I see, I think, you know, 12-inch is good enough. If I put bigger props, then the aircraft might not be that stable as I wanted to, because, you know, it's going to take longer for the aircraft to compensate, you know, for the corrections the flight controller has to do. I do have Simon K ESCs that they help, you know, help me have, you know, really smooth, you know, flying time. But like I said, you know, it's better if I have something that is smoother rather than, you know, something that is it's not, you know. So that's why I picked, you know, to set up this in that way. Now I just got a little bit of wind gust, and that's why the aircraft, you know, they jerk a little bit because of that. One thing that I discovered with this NASA is like when it gets windy, somehow the barometer, that is the one that does the attitude hold, just like it's doing right now, but it's not the GPS. The GPS all it does is the position hold. So the barometer that is controlled by the vertical gain, even if you got the barometer set up perfectly, when you suddenly get, you know, some wind gust, the air pressure change right there, and suddenly the aircraft might go up or might go down because of the sudden change of pressure, you know, in the air because of the wind. And even if the NASA is an enclosed flight controller, still that's a little bit of a problem. I'm also curious about battery power set down unit that I'm using here, that is designed to work all the way up to 4S. I don't know if I'm draining too much power out of it, since I'm using, you know, video transmitter that is quite powerful and drains, you know, a lot of power. And also I'm using you know, 2 cameras that's been powered by it and 1 OSD. Right now, oh wow, I'm about to go over 20 minutes. I mean, made this thing big. Look. "20 freaking minutes. That's excellent. I'm really loving this aircraft. And let me check the voltage I got. I still got 14.4 volts on this thing. I told the addition of the FPV equipment, because the whole FPV equipment that I installed here adds to this aircraft over 250 grams. I thought that's gonna really kill my flying time, and actually it's not. You just lower the aircraft down a little bit. So just go in over 20 minutes. That's really cool. So I still got 14.4 volts on the receiver. On the receiver is that the receiver is connected to the power distribution board, so it's getting power from the main batteries, because these high-tech receivers are designed to get the powered dually. On one side it gets power. Let's say you got an airplane, and the airplane, the ESC sending power to the receiver, and that's an ESC, the BC on the ESC sending power to the servos. But on the other side, you can have the receiver powered directly by the battery. You got a connector, they call it the SPC connector, and the receiver gets power also on that side. So, and you're using servos that they are too powerful, and they made the receiver malfunction because of the drain of power of the servos. If the receiver is getting power directly from the battery, and this is only the high-tech receivers, the only ones that does that, then you don't need to use like external VC or anything. You just power the receiver directly from the main battery, and it works better. And the nicer thing is that it got two purposes, because also it tells you on your radio what's the voltage of the battery as well. So that's really cool, and I really like that. That's a nice freaking feature, you know, from high-tech. And it's the only company that does that. If you want to have the kind of telemetry or any other receiver, you need to buy separately the telemetry module and add it to the receiver. And I do have telemetry modules for this, but I didn't bought it for the purpose of the voltage. Oh, my voltage went down. Let me just go on land. That's my lipo arm. So I did 22 minutes with two 4004S batteries and all the FPV equipment installed and powered it on an aircraft that weighs 2,383 grams. So that's over that's like around 5.2 pounds. And the sat time that I did was 22 minutes and 47 seconds. So by me adding all this FPV equipment, all I lost was a little bit over 2 minutes of flying time from the flight that I did, that I never posted the video of that flight, when I first tested these batteries without the FPV equipment installed. So, you know, doing 22 minutes and 47 seconds on a multicopter, that's excellent. That's twice the flying time that you will get with most multicopters out there, because the average flying time that you will get with almost every multicopter out there is like around 10-11 minutes. Maybe you put a slightly larger battery, you might get you know, all the way up to 14 or 15 minutes. And this thing is like 4 times what you will get with a RC helicopter, electric RC helicopter of any size. Because RC helicopters, they do 5-6 minutes and that's it, you're done. And the saddest part about RC helicopter of the equivalent size and weight as this aircraft is that they do have to fly with 6S, and all you get is just a miserable 6-minute flying time, and this thing gets 4 times, pretty much almost 4 times that. So that makes the multi-rotor a better aircraft. You might not do the 3D, but there's something better than 3D on the multicopter world. That's something I'm not going to do with this one. I'm going to do with some of the other multicopters that I have, and it's proximity FPV. That's the real 21st century exciting way of doing RC. Proximity FPV. Okay, so pretty much this is the end of this video, and I appreciate you guys for stopping by. And if you got any questions, any opinions, please don't forget to leave it on the comment section below. If you like this video, please rate. If you want to share this video with other people, just share it. And if you like it a lot, decide, you know, rate it, put it on your favorite tab. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.